And we're back there, yeah. Can you see me?
Oh, yeah, you're back on. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Talk about being technophobe. It's been because I've been starting to upload these onto YouTube and stuff. And
yeah,
the initial one that we did on the, was it the 12th or the 14th of April? So like about a week ago, something like that. I did it because the Skype's on my phone. So I did it on my phone and I edited it in iMovie. But iMovie is a different format to like upload to YouTube.
Right.
So, and it was about 3 gig the file. So like, I had to like, eventually I got it up there obviously, but yeah, that was a little bit of a learning experience to a complete technophobe trying to upload stuff onto YouTube from iMovie. Yeah.
So what did you do for the second one then? Did you use the same, or you just knew how to do it then?
I've downloaded some software now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, initially it was free. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Free software, but then when you come to export the video, there was a big watermark across the middle of the screen.
All right.
So that's how they get you, so I had to buy it.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's how they get you. Oh, good. Like you say, though, all these new skills you're learning now, your little video tools and stuff.
Yeah, so I learned like sort of how to edit the beginning bit, fade out the logo, and then at the end, there's links to like previous videos and that now. So,
cool.
Yeah. Learning, work in progress.
Yeah, good. You pleased with it so far?
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
A few people put out a post last night on the Incremental Gainz Facebook page, and a few people had just not negatively, but had just been asking like, why are you doing it? What's the point in it?
Right.
And it was just about, because I've been after trying to do it for a while. It's been something I've had an interest in for ages, and I thought, well, now's the perfect time to do it if I'm ever going to do it.
Yeah.
And there's no real end game to it. A little bit like I heard Tim Ferriss talking about once, that just enjoy the process of doing it, learning. All knowledge is ultimately self-knowledge in it. So if I can maybe learn how to maybe talk a bit better, listen a bit better, learning how to do videos and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a big one from our last chat was the ums and the ahs.
All right. Yeah.
And it's funny because I saw my sister commented on it as well on an Instagram post.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, I know she's doing the same. So yeah, there you go. Something like that, you know.
No.
Yeah, good.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, there's no real end game to it. Just going to put them out there, and they obviously help me. I'm learning about myself, and we have pretty interesting conversations with all the different people who I'm hopefully going to get on, and people take like one little nugget from it. Even it's down to like how many times you say in a sentence or a conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
take it forward, and you pass that on. Lets other people sort of think about it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, just enjoying the process. There's no goal to it.
Good.
We'll just see how it goes. So I was your week last week. You was changing roles slightly, weren't you? I remember from our last conversation.
Week, it's still a weird place where I think because we're so far west and we've had extra time to prepare.
Yeah.
Even though the COVID is in the county, the hospital is still a lot quieter than they were expecting at this stage when they were modelling it beforehand, before it kind of went a bit crazy everywhere else in the country. So so it's still weird. I had a day in sort of attached to A&E with the physio and a nurse, but ended up seeing a couple of people on the wards instead of A&E. We weren't really needed.
All right.
So this week it's still, dealing with the new referrals that are coming in, picking out the ones that, the super urgent ones that would need home visits. Yeah, so it's still a bit odd. So I've been doing a lot of online learning this week, today and yesterday. Just
what have you been looking at?
It's been nice. There's a lot of respiratory modules about oxygen therapy and the respiratory system, and lot of big words I've had to Google in the last 2 days. It's been what does that mean?
How do you start to implement that then? Oxygen therapy or whatever it is.
Well, it's for why with this condition, especially the ones that are sort of worse affected.
It's all respiratory.
There is a need for a ventilator to keep them alive. So it's all about different oxygen levels in the blood, and it's beyond my normal role, but it's interesting. Like we said before, it's interesting to read and learn about. Even though I'm probably unlikely to be applying a lot of it, it's just useful to know, and even recognizing signs of distress. Because someone's they're not breathing correctly. So, and it could be a simple solution for some things, just like the position that they're in. A change of position in the bed or on the chair can
just
make it
more like
to
get into the lungs and that. Yeah,
can make a bit. If somebody's slumped right down and everything's all squished in and they're struggling for breath, well, let's alter your position first and see how that affects. And this isn't something I'm doing at work. This is what I've listened to, and it could be as simple as that could make the difference. So
it's interesting. There was a post on Facebook yesterday, a guy called Ben Poppleton who I followed through jiu-jitsu, but he was showing just sat on a chair, neutral spine, but having a broomstick behind his back with his arms looped over the top.
Okay.
Broomstick comes through your elbow and round your back, and it was making you sit upright with a neutral spine and pushing the chest out.
Okay.
And he was showing it because he'd read some study or some doctor's study that was showing that this is an optimal position to sit in to allow the most oxygen or to get into the lungs or whatever.
Oh wow, it's interesting, isn't it? I've just seen a post today, actually, the foundation training thing that I do for my back. They've just shown, I've only quickly scanned it, I'll have to reread it, but I think I've got it right. They've shown, they were testing firefighters, and a lot of them in California are using this method of reducing injury, lower back problems. It's a epidemic almost in itself, low back problems. But they're showing that using their sort of breathing techniques, it's shown to increase their lung volume for firefighters. So I'll have to. About 10 minutes ago, it just kind of caught my eye. So I'll have to.
You've got to have a proper read.
Have a proper read about that and see what it's about. Yeah. So
what exactly are you doing for your back then?
So at the moment.
And what was the injury? I know it was quite serious, but what was it? A surfing injury or just general?
Yeah, no. I think it was. I think it's a combination of things from.
Years.
Our previous life of spending quite a bit of time sitting and waiting for things to happen.
Yeah.
And then sometimes going from that.
Now become good at that.
Yeah. Perfect time now to practice. And then going from that position, so a sitting position in poor chairs. I mean, that's a whole conversation in itself.
Yeah.
And then going from that position to getting up and putting on the things that we had to wear before. It was quite a bit of weight that we had to carry, wasn't it?
Definitely. Yeah.
Fully loaded position. Sometimes being called to move quickly as well, and sometimes going from that to sitting in a vehicle and I think it's a combination of that, probably poor movement patterns, poor posture, and it just caused a couple of discs in my lower back to kind of let me know they weren't happy, and it caused a bit of pain and sciatica down my leg and loss of sensation. So it was that. But anyway, through that I kind of went online and found this sort of training protocol by he's a chiropractor in America, Dr. Eric Goodman. His idea, foundation training. There's a lot of really useful breathing techniques, a lot of isometric holds, basically strengthening the sort of posterior chain of your muscles down your back, down your hamstring. So really working, simple looking positions, but if everything's active, so all the way from the balls of from your feet, the arches in your feet, squeezing your thighs together. You've got your hands out the front in some positions, so you're activating what they call a sphere of tension. So you kind of activate your fingers; they're all pressing in, and they can use a scale.
Yeah,
you can say to start off, you can reduce the tension, have a low number. Say once you've warmed up, you can go as hard as you like, and it's
all right.
Yeah, and it's
very interesting.
It's interesting, and it's done in standing, in prone and supine and kneeling. There's lots of different movements. A lot of surfers seem to be using it to prevent and strengthen.
And has it helped?
It's been a massive one for me. Yeah, huge. Yeah. Once I got hold of the pain, that was the big thing. Because that was
explain that sort of once you got used to the pain, you mean? Or?
No, I wanted because originally it was kind of. It was progressively getting worse with the pain, so I was struggling with my mobility and walking slightly different than I would. And then one day the pain was just awful, and I had to basically stop work. I had to get signed off work, but I was a bit reluctant to sort of take any of the stronger painkillers. Looking back now, I think I would take everything that the GP was allowed to give me. But so that didn't help then with my mobility, because when it's still a bit painful, you're still carrying yourself. Yeah. So over the months, it kind of did ease off and did resolve. And once I was able to move a bit more, I could push a little bit in these poses. And I eventually sort of found a guy in Cornwall who's a certified instructor, and did a couple of private sessions with him.
Right.
Signed on with their sort of online streaming platform, so I pay a monthly fee, and they've got a whole host of different workouts on there for surfers, golfers, runners. They've currently got a guy who's doing quarantine workouts every day. He's uploading those because he's isolated. But I do sort of 15 to 20 minutes every day as a maintenance, and then if I've got time, I'll add a couple of extra ones in just as extras. And it seems to be, it seems to work. Yeah. So yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Say again.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, just got to keep plodding away, haven't you, and do what you do. I don't know if I mentioned before, at the time when it kind of got worse, I was doing quite a lot, but I already knew about these foundation training exercises, but I was kind of neglecting them a little bit. And so I was doing loads of other things, but not doing the things that I should have been doing.
It's hard, isn't it? The fundamental stuff, and the stuff that is really boring.
Yeah,
it's the hardest stuff to do half of the time, isn't it? Like,
can be.
I can't remember if we touched on it, or it was Gary Fletcher in the previous episode we've just done. We were talking about like mobility and stuff like that, and how it is boring. I know I should do it. Yeah. And the way my body is, and the sort of age I'm getting, and the injuries I'm picking up, it's something I should be doing. But I just, it's hard. So I've been trying to do a bit. We did a little bit of an online yoga thing last night, me and Laura.
Oh, cool.
Signed up to Les Mills online streaming workouts. So we did a hip stretch one. It was only 15-20 minutes, but felt pretty good after it, and that, like, so.
Yeah. How are they today? How's your hips today? Are they feeling it, or
nice? All right. Yeah.
Feel okay?
Yeah. Feels pretty loose and open and that. So yeah.
It's definitely, you're right. It's definitely a big one, but it's trying to make it interesting, isn't it? Mobility. I was lucky. I met a guy down in Pembrokeshire a couple of years ago, and he was running these outdoor sort of primal movement groups.
Right.
So like Ido Portal type things, bit animal crawls. And
is this the Fit for Purpose guy? Is this?
Yeah.
I
mean, he's not running those groups now. He's sort of doing a different thing, but it came at the right time, because I was kind of saw it and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I've never done anything before.
Yeah.
So just interesting different ways of moving, and it made it fun and different, so, and outdoors as well, barefoot, outdoors, on the beach or on the grass, perfect.
Massive. It's interesting you said that. I took Olga for a walk, and I've been walking in these Vivo barefoot shoes, and you got a pair, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
So I took Olga walking in Vivo barefoot, and I go up these fields on the back at Sankey Valley. There's hardly anyone around, and I don't know what sort of came over me or anything. I just thought, I'm going to do at least just 100 meters bare feet, just on the grass in the fields, and whatever the science is behind it, or whatever Mother Nature I was in tune with, it just felt good being barefoot, being able to use all the, like, spread my toes out a little bit and just walk over the grass, and it was pretty good. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because I try and do that regularly. We got quite lucky with what we've got on our doorstep, and I was walking the dog the other week, walking on the grass, and the woman lives in one of the end houses went, "Oh, look at you barefoot on the grass." I was like, "Yeah, because it feels really nice, it feels nice." She was like, "Yeah, until you walk into some dog shit, and then that's probably not." You got to look where you're walking anyway, whether you got shoes on or not. So it's
It's always someone to bring you down, isn't there?
Yeah, it just made me laugh. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. It wouldn't be nice. There we go. Cool. Yeah, they're comfy, aren't they? Comfy shoes.
Yeah, I was looking at buying another pair. I mean, I can't really justify it at this moment in time, but it's something I'm gonna. I don't know why, but you just feel they are the comfiest pair of shoes, pair of trainers that I've got.
Yeah,
they're just not really like aesthetic enough to go like with sort of a pair of jeans or go work in them and that. I don't think they're all right with shorts, but yeah, they are so comfy. Just allows your foot and your toes to spread, don't they?
Yeah, it's way more comfortable. It's funny you mentioned that, because I've had a pair of shoes arrive today, because I was expecting to be working in the hospital. I needed a proper sort of wipe clean pair of shoes,
right?
Not ones with perforations and fancy design. So just like a leather or something that you could just wipe with alcohol wipes to keep them clean. And I ordered a pair of like normal trainers a few weeks ago, and wore them for a week, and I had to send them back because they were narrow and quite a thick sole. So those shoes you're talking about, they're quite thin, aren't they? And there's like a zero drop
so
sole on them, so it's nice. Yeah,
striking and that.
Yeah, but I've managed to find a pair. The company called Freet.
What is it? Sorry.
Freet, Freet. They do similar sort of range of sort of barefoot style shoes.
Cheaper.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I mean, so I've already got a pair of kind of plimsolly type ones, but I had to kind of try and find a leathery white clean ones, and I managed to find them in Finland. They've taken 2 weeks to get here, so it was. So I'm delighted. I mean, then again, they don't look the best, but they're just so comfy.
Yeah.
I'll take that over the strict. I love Adidas and Nike and all that, but I just couldn't get on with them. So
I normally wear Converse, but they're quite low drop, but they are quite narrow, Converse and that. Whereas the Vivo Barefoot are really wide.
Yeah.
So your toes, as you press down and you walk, your toes spread, don't they, and cover the surface area of the trainers. And yeah, it does feel fantastic. There is definitely something. I mean, I suppose it's how we've evolved on it over years, hunter-gatherers and that. There is something about allowing all the muscles. I mean, you might know better than me, but is that where we've got the most bones in our body, in our feet or something?
I think there are, and not just that. It's it's almost like a sensory organ as well. All the feedback that you get from your feet for your balance and quite important, really.
Yeah, there's an MMA coach who's been on Joe Rogan, and his whole philosophy is around strengthening the feet.
Okay.
From the bottom up. So instead of concentrating on technique, punching and all this, he's got drills and like some testing that once he's diagnosed this and done the testing and that, he knows what he needs to work on in terms of your footwork and strengthening the feet and all the arches of the feet. And that was quite interesting. Not a lot of people tend to work from the ground up and concentrate on the footwork, the footwork, but what's going on with the feet, like that, the arches, whether you can stand on your balls of your feet for time, what are your toes doing? Quite interesting.
Okay. I wonder what sort of movements and exercises he would do for that then, for foot strengthening.
I'm not sure. It was a while ago when he was on. I'll try and find it and send you the link to it. But that was his whole protocol, was concentrating on the feet and the strengthening of the feet. And he also attributed it to aging. So some of the tests he's done, foot health and maybe foot dexterity and ankle dexterity was an indicator of people maybe getting injured as they get older, or falling and tripping and all that kind of stuff.
Balls, yeah. Would something like that be useful for you for your jiu-jitsu then, do you think?
I think so, definitely. Yeah. I mean, there's a few positions where, I mean, one particular trainer called Pete Mickelson refers to it as seal feet. So say you're on your knees kneeling. Yeah. If you're in steps, if your laces down and you're on your in steps, they're called seal feet. But there's sometimes where you'll actually sit back on your heels, so your toes are on the mat, and you're sat on your knees, but you're kneeling back on your heels. If that makes sense.
It does. I'm doing it now because I'm kneeling. I've got my.
All right.
Yeah, I'm kneeling down, so I'm just kind of having a feel around. Yeah.
Kneeling on your heels, and that takes, if you're not used to it, it takes quite a bit of dexterity, doesn't it, to hold that position and sit in that position. So.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it in your toes and in your ankles. Yeah, especially if you're holding it for a long time. Yeah.
I was watching. Sorry, go on.
No, go on. You carry on.
I don't want to keep referring to him as the fit for purpose guy. What's his name?
Oh, Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah.
You liked a mobility floor drill that he was doing on Instagram.
Yeah.
That he'd slowed down because the previous one was sped up on it quite quick.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do a few little versions of that.
Yeah.
And what's is it called? I can't remember the name, but the squat where you're balancing on your tiptoes on the balls of your feet and you squat down.
Yeah.
And then you hold that position, then you put your knees on the floor. I was trying to sort of do that and get the balance right where you can go all the way down to sit on your heels with just your balls of your feet on the floor. Just
really
play
hard
like that. Yeah, it is.
It's hard when you slow everything down as well, trying to do it really slow and under control. It's
you almost need like a mechanical tension. You need to be able to hold your body in tension, don't you, to hold that balance point to get down. But yeah, I mean, like we talked about before, keeping mobility a little bit interesting, things like that.
Yeah,
make it a little bit more interesting to where I will have a go and I'll sit there and I'll maybe like move around a little bit, like you're doing now, kneeling down, just to work a few little niggles out here and there.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for getting off the sofas and the chairs and getting down on the ground. Yeah. Definitely. Have you heard of a guy called Tony Riddle?
A
natural lifestylist, I think, on Instagram.
I think I've heard of him because he might have been like a few podcasts I listened to, but I haven't actually sat down and listened to him talk.
Oh, yeah, you should have a listen.
Is it worth listening? Yeah.
Interesting guy to listen to. Yeah. So in his home, he lives in London, and he's a big advocate for ground living. So there's no chairs. All kids are all down on the floor, hanging out, floor working and the benefits to you. I listened to a bit of your episode with was it Gary, episode 2?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about hip mobility, you know, and the benefits for that of just getting down on the floor, doing a deep squat, just different floor working positions. Yeah, interesting. But a few months ago, talking about barefoot stuff, kind of covering both here, he ran from Land's End to John O'Groats barefoot.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, amazing. Following this journey on Instagram every day. Whew. Yeah. You should have a look at his feet. You were talking about toe spread earlier on and about your feet. Yeah.
Has he got hobbit feet?
Giant hobbit feet with massive gaps between his toes. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Oh, let's have a look at that.
Obviously well conditioned, and that's just been his
just
life
and adapted to the way he lives his life and that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's funny, we were talking last time about opening our conscious nets.
And
that's what I'm talking about. Like, where I was listening to Ross Edgley yesterday talk about barefoot running he was on a podcast with Mark Bell.
Okay.
Who's like a strength guy. He started running during lockdown. Mark Bell started running, but he's a big bodybuilder, strength athlete. So Ross Edgley was going quite scientifically into running mechanics, stuff like that, and he was promoting to him, run barefoot. Have a go at running barefoot, but don't literally go barefoot and try and run 10k. He said you've literally got to scale it back and just run down, do a run around your block, because the whole running pattern when you start doing barefoot and the strengthening of the tendons required to run correctly barefoot or with zero like drop on your trainers. So people don't realise.
Starting small, isn't it, and not picking up those niggly injuries. Because it's a different foot strike, isn't it? If you've got big cushioned heeled running trainers, and again, I'm not an expert on these things, is people that would explain it way better than I can. You're going to run that way because it gives you that cushioning of the heel, but actually the body is kind of evolutionary designed to kind of move a different way, sort of more forefoot and a midfoot strike, rather than that force going down through your heel, up your leg, into your knee, into your hip.
And your bottom of your spine and all that.
And all that impact. So you're right. You've got to kind of change your style a little bit.
So through listening to Ross Edgley yesterday, now talking to you, I've now been introduced to Tony. What's his name? Tony Riddle.
Yeah, Tony Riddle. Yeah.
I want to go down the rabbit hole later on, I think.
Yeah. Have a look. Got to strengthen your feet. More barefoot walking.
I enjoyed that on the field with Olga. Just only for like 50 meters, 100 meters, something like that, just walking, and then before anyone sees me, put my shirt back on.
That's a big one as well. People walking past and 2 meters away and just glancing down at your feet and seeing you Look at that weirdo walking with no shoes on. Yeah. Or carrying your shoes instead of using them.
Yeah. So speaking of mobility and recovery and all that, let's get on to our ice bath experience.
Yeah, let's. How was it? How did you get on?
I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
I said to Gary last time we spoke that it was like, when you go for a job interview and it's happening, it's in the back of your mind the whole week leading up to it.
Really?
I was like, yeah, it's Tuesday, I've got the ice bath on Friday. It's Wednesday, I'm doing an ice bath on Friday. So I was actually surprised by how much I was thinking about it and conscious about it, because Laura will tell you, Mum and Dad will tell you, I don't really like being cold. I like being warm and wrapped up, and I like wearing a hat, you know what I mean? And I don't really like the cold. But we have to get out of our comfort zone, don't we? So, and you put it out there that we had to do it.
Yeah. It was well, we didn't have to. It was just a thought.
Yeah, but again, it's good to push ourselves past our perceived limits and all that in it, and get out of our comfort zone. It's something I've never really done. Played around with cold showers, but not to the extent of an ice bath. So anyway, leading up to it, I was like, this is gonna. I don't know if I'm into this or not. Like, so I ran the bath. I've been at gym, ran the bath. Cold water. The ice went in. Took a picture for evidence, so I could prove I did it. Or I was at least going to start it.
Yeah.
And I got in, and the first 30 seconds, mate, I said to Gaz the other day, I was ready for tapping out. First 30 seconds, and I was going, I can't do it. I'm getting out. It's painful, really painful and uncomfortable. I couldn't get my breath. But Laura was there as well, and Laura was like, it's all in your head. Just get on with it. Just do it.
Did she?
So so she was the contributing factor to me continuing with it. But then after about a minute, I sorted my breath work out into the belly, not into the esophagus and the lungs and all that. I calmed my breathing down, and I concentrated on the breath, so I was quite mindful. And then it was surprising how quickly my body adapted to it, really.
Yeah. And
I became quite comfortable. And then I did something, moved, caused a ripple, and then that took my breath away a little bit as well then. So
yeah. Could you see a timer going when you were in there?
No, I had my phone on alarm, so I'd set an alarm for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see it. So in hindsight, I had no reference as to how long I was doing or had done until it went off. So
yeah. But did you go for a head dunk while you were in there as well?
I went for a head dunk.
Yeah.
that was horrible. But again, I'd acclimatized a little bit then.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, right, I'm going under. Went under, came up. Took my breath away again. And then once I calmed my breathing down, and it's interesting how quickly our body adapts to stuff. Yeah. But initially, like again, referring to Ross Edgley, he talks about this central governor theory.
Right.
To pulling the handbrake whenever your body goes out of homeostasis, out of balance, whenever it feels like it's in any kind of threat or it's doing anything out of its perceived limits.
Mm-hmm.
The central governor theory is trying to get you out of there, and I almost tapped out and got out of there. Like, but we've always got some extra, like whether it's mental or physical in the tank.
Yeah, or a Laura.
Or a Laura, in the background calling me a pussy. Yeah.
That's good.
And I think I'm not just saying this now because we're talking to each other, but I could probably do longer. I reckon. I know we've said we're going to do like 10 minutes next time.
Yeah, you've hinted at going longer, haven't you? Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you're still shivering, aren't you, when you're in there because you're in an ice bath.
Yeah.
But controlling that breathing and being mindful of your breath and that attention and that awareness.
Yeah.
I think it's a good practice, and it's definitely something I'll continue to do.
Yeah, good. And how was it? Because you said you did it after you trained.
Yeah. I don't know what the science behind it is, but after it, I felt so lethargic and tired.
Yeah.
I wasn't like aching or anything. I know it'd take a few days for the sensations from working out to maybe start to affect the body anyway, but it proper relaxed me. So whether or not, again, I don't know what the science is behind it, but
no. How did you sleep that night?
I slept well, like, yeah.
Because I remember again hearing or reading something that you get a better sleep in a cooler temperature than you would if you're all wrapped up and lovely and warm. So just by reducing the temperature by, I don't know how many it is, but just reducing your temperature in your bedroom by leaving a window open, or just
definitely.
Just
from experience, I can that, like, just that I know I sleep better even when you're on holiday and the aircon's on slightly. It's better than an actually stifling room, isn't it? You sleep a lot better with the aircon on, so there must be
true.
Yeah. What about you then? I know it's something you've done before. Is it something you're going to try and carry on a bit more regular?
It's not something. That's the first one I've done probably for a year and a half.
All right.
Since before I kind of injured my back, because I was doing it after, when I was sort of doing lots of different things, training. I'd had a few, and then I did my back in and just came away from it. And then I went the opposite way actually and did a lot of sauna, interestingly. And
right.
Yeah.
The reason behind that, had you heard anybody talk about the benefits of sauna that prompted you to go and do it?
I have, with the kind of usual suspects that we've spoken about before, Joe Rogan, I think Tim Ferriss has probably mentioned it, Dr. Rhonda Patrick. I follow her. Most of what she says goes way over my head, but you can take it.
I was going to say, did you actually understand reasons why saunas are good?
Just say sauna's good, cool. That's
yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big one actually when I was recovering, was getting to the leisure centre, and I was lucky I was able to get in there pretty much every day and do my sort of stretches and my foundation training in the sauna. So obviously at the moment we're kind of missing it now. So
yeah. Something, I don't know if you're carrying on doing it, but at one point you was into and I'd done a few as well, but sensory deprivation tanks, floating.
Yeah.
Is that something you've not done for? Have you not done that for a while?
No, it's been a while actually. Yeah. When did you last do that? Just out of interest.
Jesus, probably well over 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Over 18 months ago.
Probably the same.
It's one of those things, isn't it? When we're talking about mobility, we're talking about basic fundamental exercises, meditation, mindfulness, flotation are so good.
Yeah.
We just don't do them. And I mean, they're so good, we never continue doing them.
No, that's right. I mean, our closest centre is in Swansea, and hopefully after this they'll be able to sort of remain open, because obviously they're all shut down as well. Yeah, so it's quite a drive. What was it, an hour and a bit? So but the reason I started going there first was niggling back problems again, just to sort of relieve any pressure off.
Yeah, of course.
The area, but I had to kind of drive there and drive back, so it
was compounding it. Being sat in the car
felt amazing at the time and just afterwards. But
barefoot walking.
Yeah. What did you make of it then when you did it?
Well, we're quite fortunate that I remember I was getting into it when I was living down south.
Yeah.
So I remember you bought me the float book.
Yeah.
So I remember you dropping that off. So I was kind of getting into it then. I don't think at that point I'd actually floated. I'd actually been for the float in a flotation tank. But we're quite fortunate that we've got a centre in St Helens.
Yeah.
And people might not be aware of it, but it's on North Road, in the Spa on North Road. They've got their own flotation tank. And so for those who are listening, who if that one person is watching this who hasn't done it before, it's a sensory deprivation tank in it. So the water's the same temperature as your skin, so you can't tell where the water ends and your body begins. So you're floating, full of Epsom salts, so makes you buoyant. So you're floating, aren't you? You obviously can't see anything because it's pitch black, and you have earplugs in, so you can't hear anything. So it's complete sensory deprivation in it.
It is.
Because before going in there, I'd played around with meditation and mindfulness. My wife Laura, she got actually prescribed some mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, and we were it was just going back a few years ago. And we both did that together. So we were both into mindfulness at the time, and I thought, well, the next step up to increase the intensity of it would be to completely go sensory deprivation and get an isolation tank. So I did it. The longest I think I've done mindfulness for was probably 25-30 minutes, and a session in the tank was an hour, wasn't it? So once I'd got past that half an hour mark that I was comfortable with, I was getting a little bit restless after half an hour.
Okay.
But managed to like control the thoughts and where my mind was going, because I tried to use it as a form of mindfulness, lying there and being with my breath, concentrating on the breath. And every time a thought comes in my head, I try and bring it back to the breath work. But it was difficult, but again, just part of a practice. Do you know what I mean? And part of a learning process. And I think I bought a course. I think it was 6 sessions. So I think I'm still on probably 2 sessions, I think, but I've just not been for so long. I think I went on 4 sessions over 4 months, and I got up to maybe an hour and a half. I was in there for an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Again, sometimes depending on what frame of mind I was in and what happened during that week, maybe, or all sorts of limiting factors. Sometimes I could quite easily handle the hour and a half with just me and my thoughts, but other times it was hard work. But
really?
Again, it's a practice, isn't it, mate? And it's something that you need to work on, don't you? So.
It is, and what I've read about sort of that kind of therapy in particular is the more that you do it, the quicker your body is able to kind of get in that real relaxed sort of theta brainwave state, isn't it? They say that, that sort of line between wake and sleep, just that sort of dreamlike state. So
I forgot about that theta brainwave state. Yeah.
You
can get tracks, you can get audio tracks, can't you? Of that particular brainwave.
Yeah. Have you ever used them?
I've not, but I've read a little bit about it, that it can increase obviously relaxation and stuff like that. But I've never played around with it at all. But that might be interesting to have a go at that. If we can't actually get in a flotation tank. So
binaural beats, isn't it? It's like different frequencies to
Yeah, I know.
I wonder.
I've never. You all right?
Yeah, I've been doing me pots. I'm going to knit my mum's now.
All right.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Laura. How are you?
Yeah.
You see him?
Hey. You okay?
Yeah, I've just been doing all my pots for the garden.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to knit my mum's and take hers now.
All right.
See you later.
See ya.
Take care.
Oh, I need the house key. You too, love.
See ya.
Just spot me floor then. I was in full floor.
In full float, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I've not played around with binaural beats and all that kind of stuff, so that might be interesting to have a play with that, like.
I did it a couple of times when I was like having trouble sleeping for whatever, just dropping off, just putting the headphones in, looking for one that says it helps you drop off to sleep. But I've never actually looked into the science of it as to why it works or if it works. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Good. So what have you? Oh, can I quickly say thanks for the book, by the way?
All right. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. I started it last night.
I'll surprise you.
So I'm only, that's awesome. Thank you. That's brilliant. I'm not that far into it, but it's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I mentioned last time, I like the way he infuses the actual fictional narrative of how people make stories and infuses it with the actual scientific, psychological reasons that our brain makes stories.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good how he does it both. Yeah.
Well, I just finished a few pages where he's talking about how we perceive the world and how little we do see and hear and feel because of it through our senses. You know, we're only seeing certain light frequencies, we're only hearing certain sound frequencies, and talking about the different makeup of different animals' eyes. I know, yeah. And bees can see all radio waves, can't they? Yeah. The electromagnetic map of the world or something, is the phrase. Yeah, it just blew my mind a bit when he was... Yeah. I must admit, there's a few parts in that book, and again, it's one of the reasons why I gifted it to you, because I thought, I don't know, sometimes books come along and it explains something that like maybe you've not been able to get your head around previously. And I've read like the Chimp Paradox, which is all about like your monkey mind and your emotional side. And Daniel, I'm going to butcher his name, but Daniel Kahneman, he written Thinking Fast and Slow, which is quite a heavily scientific book, and tried getting my head around that and struggled with that. But Will Storr and The Art of Storytelling, The Science of Storytelling. Science of Storytelling, yeah. Science of Storytelling, really like simplified it and put it in like layman's terms around how your brain
needs these narratives to survive. It can't deal with things happening in a vacuum that don't connect. So your brain connects dots when there's no real like reality to connect those dots. And that's stuff about how we only perceive so much percentage of the world. So our reality is only our perception of reality. It's not your reality. It's not actually reality because our brains don't spend any time in reality.
No, that's right.
There was a few bits in the book when I was reading it, and I was like, I have to read it again. I'll have to read that bit again.
There was one bit there which happens to me regularly during the week. He talks about when, say, there's not so much light and you're walking along and you thought you saw a person over there, but it turns out it's a tree.
Yeah.
Paraphrasing, but that's basically
just.
And as you get closer, no, it's not. It's a man. It's a tree.
Yeah.
It happens to me about 2 or 3 times each week when I'm taking the dog out, especially the time of year when it's still, there's still a bit of darkness in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember at the end of our road, there's a sort of a circle of stones that's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
From a distance, looks like a person.
All right.
So when I read that, I was like, oh, yeah. But what he's saying is you are actually seeing a person, but it's not until you get that extra information you kind of make all the adjustments. Yeah,
I know.
It's interesting.
The bit that got me, again, I think it's quite early on in the book, when your peripheral vision, we have blind spots, don't we? And this isn't me saying this is what I got from the book. We have a blind spot, and the blind spot is filled with a fake story. Our brain just makes up what the blind spot is filled with to create the narrative, like the scene carries on. It doesn't actually carry on. Our brain fills in the gap that we can't see.
Right.
So it's just making it up.
Making it up.
Yeah.
That's really odd, isn't it?
I know.
Sit and think about it. Yeah.
And you can sit and kind of contemplate, and he goes deeper into this in the book. So if what we if our perception of reality isn't actually what is happening in the real world, and every individual has their own perception of reality.
Yeah.
So the way to get on with people is to try and understand other people's realities rather than trying to impose our realities on top of other people. Try and understand what your view of the world is before I try and get you to understand mine.
Yeah.
And it goes on about that. And if it is only a perception of reality and it is only a story that the narrator in our head is putting together, then we can change that story, can't we? We can change that story and adopt a different view of reality. And the one example that sticks out to me, and it's funny that because it was something that I was going to like talk to you about and bring up maybe in a later conversation that we have. And he says there's a glass, and the cliche whether the glass is half empty or half full. So I say it's half empty, you say it's half full, but the glass is still got water in it, regardless of whether it's half full or half empty.
Yeah,
that is the reality, that it's got water in it.
Yeah.
So I'm a pessimist because I think it's only half full or half empty. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're the optimist. If I change my view of the world to your view of the world, then I have a better day because I feel better about that glass being half full.
Yeah.
I mean, so why can't, if it's only a story and a narrative that your mind's made up, why can't we change it? Why can't people change their view of the world and be happier, be better, have a different mindset? That's what, honestly, mate, I was blown away by that book. That's
really?
That's why I sent it to you, because amazing.
It's funny you say that. I heard a thing the other day. They were talking about optimists and pessimists and what's it best to be, and it was like, well, the world needs both, because the optimist invented the aeroplane, but the pessimist invented the parachute.
Yeah. Balance, life balance.
Yeah. We could all be a bit of both. Well, we are. We're all a mix of both, aren't we? But yeah.
There's the other side of the coin. A mate of mine has a saying that if you always think of the worst, then if anything good actually happens, then it's a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, but then it depends on how you think of the worst, isn't it? If you're constantly walking around with your head down thinking that the worst is going to happen. But I mean, you've read a bit more sort of stoicism books and literature than I have, but there is one there, isn't there? I can't remember the phrase, but it's imagining that putting yourself in the position of the worst thing happening, and then how you would and deal with it. Okay, do you remember?
Quite early on in it's one of the very early chapters of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and Tim Ferriss has referred to it a few times. That if you wake up in the morning and you have the mindset that you are going to meet people who aren't going to agree with you today, who are going to have arguments with you, who aren't going to be happy, they're going to have their own agendas, they're going to disagree with you, they're going to cause arguments, they might even want to get in altercations with you, people are going to piss you off.
Yeah.
And if you're all right, if you know that's going to happen, you can be all right with it.
Yeah, and it'll happen, and then you kind of notice it and go, oh yeah, there's that thing.
Yeah.
What would happen? But getting sucked into it and letting it ruin your day, and
I know. Yeah. But again, it just comes down to mindset, doesn't it? Whatever tools you use, whatever your influences are, it's just changing your mindset about things.
Yeah.
I mean, like we spoke about last time, using this period of lockdown and isolation as an opportunity for growth rather than down in the dumps and sticking for the reality that we find ourselves in. You can change it. It's only a story that you tell yourself, innit?
Yeah, that's true. And like we said before, it is easier said than done, like everything. And sometimes you just need, you can do that yourself if you've got the tools but it might take someone like us chatting here now and you coming out with something and going, oh yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Well, definitely, that's the idea.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, you know me, I'm not sitting here going, oh yeah, I know everything. It's just because I've read a few books, listened to quite a lot of podcasts, do you know what I mean? And stuff, eventually, the more positive influences you have, they rub off on you. They can't help but rub off on you. Same if you were listening to like negativity all the time and negative influences and all that. That's going to have an effect on your personality and the way you talk to other people and your behaviours and stuff. So it's just listening to a lot of positive influences. Again, something you've said in the past before: feeding the right wolf.
Yeah, feeding the good wolf. Yeah.
Feed the good wolf.
Yeah.
And hopefully, just me and you talking, because this is a community podcast channel, so it's for the community. It's for maybe people who are a little bit less fortunate than others, maybe less disadvantaged. They can listen to this and maybe take something from it. That's the whole reason why and the goal behind why I wanted to start doing it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it's funny because I was listening to something earlier today and they were talking about people, at the moment might be feeling quite isolated and not seeing the people who they want to see, but we're quite lucky that we've got, we can do this.
The technology,
we might be sort of physically isolated, but we can still be sort of mentally engaged and talk about things that, whether it's what we're doing now or talking to family members about what's worrying you or just checking in with people and seeing how your week's gone, so it's lucky to kind of have all this to be able to do it. So
definitely. It's something that's sort of affected me, not affected me, that's not the right word, but again, not listening to podcasts. Was that your dog barking then?
Yeah, can you hear him? Yeah.
Olga's just perked her ears up. She can hear it through the audio. But listening to podcasts and stuff, it's not very often that in this kind of current climate with technology that you sit there for, we've been going for 48 minutes now and we've not picked up the phone or anything, you know what I mean? We've put our phones to one side. We've had a conversation. How often does that happen? I don't even talk to Laura for like 50 minutes without going on our phones. And that's not good, that really, is it?
No, it's easy, isn't it? I've got mine right here, but I'll tell you what I have noticed, even though I'm still working, is I'm picking it up more to check in. Right. I'm not on Facebook, but I've kind of jumped back in on Instagram again over the last sort of couple of months.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the only one, but yeah, I'm still picking it up more than I want to. Yeah. So how much time have you always got your phone on you? Like when you go for the dog walk, would you take your phone with you?
I've got because I'm always like listening to some music or podcasts or something like. So I've always got my phone with me, but I don't tend to check it when I'm walking around. It's just in my pocket.
Right.
And I've got my earbuds in and that like. So yeah, I did go through it because I was quite embarrassed. I think I mentioned this last time. By your screen time, when it gives you your notification how long you've been spending on screen time this week.
Right.
And I was like getting quite embarrassed by it and thinking, oh my god, that's not good, that like 4 or 5 hours a day screen time. And I am doing a lot of work on my phone, like uploading videos and making content and that, but me and Laura sat down and said, like, maybe after 6:30 at night, we're going to turn our phones off and just leave them, or put them on vibrate and leave them like at the far end of the room where we can't grab them.
Yeah.
It is better. You know what I mean? It just stifles all like conversation and
can do
intimacy and connection and everything, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, this has all been said before, but you'll go out when we're all allowed out again. I wonder then, like when everyone is allowed out again and we get back to going out in groups, how that'll affect, because pre-COVID times when everyone was out and sat around a table, then you'd see your family and they're all on their phones or their gadgets. I wonder whether that'll change once everyone is allowed back out again in groups, whether because we're missing this sort of face-to-face,
will be more conversational.
Yeah.
It's interesting what will change really, and I think definitely there'll be something around that people will realise or have epiphanies that, because you've not seen your Auntie Jean or your Grandma Joseph for however long, and you go around for a cup of tea and you are more mindful and more aware that I've not seen them for ages, I'm going to put my phone to one side and I'm going to have a real conversation because I've not had the opportunity to for the last 6 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
I think we might have said this last time, but there'll be a big push around loneliness and isolation in the third sector, and people really trying to combat these issues and that. Yeah.
And what's the sort of support networks in your area for that sort of thing?
To be honest, in this time now,
a
pub called the Eccleston Arms and a rugby club called Blackbrook Royals Rugby Club have been taking around food parcels to any like elderly who are isolated and all that. And Johnny Vegas, Johnny Vegas is.
Yeah.
He's a celebrity around. Obviously, he's from St Helens and that. He was involved with Blackbrook and the Eccleston Arms, taking these food parcels around for the elderly who are isolated and that. So there has been quite a big sort of community element of trying to get help to those who need it, which is really good to see. Yeah. But I think it'll just promote more organisations as and when we go back to normal. There'll be a big awareness campaign around isolation and loneliness, I think, definitely.
Yeah, it's needed.
Going back to that's a good link to the what they call, I keep getting them mixed, the flotation tanks.
Yeah.
I was telling Gary this, so anyone who's heard me speak to Gary, I'm going to tell the same story again, and it's in the science of storytelling. There was an experiment that people were in flotation tanks and they had no experience of mindfulness or meditation before. So they were going in a flotation tank, sensory deprivation. They had a little buzzer in the corner, and those who weren't comfortable with it and didn't have like the weren't comfortable with just being on their own with their own thoughts, when they got bored, they pressed the buzzer and the buzzer gave them an electrical shock. And the studies were showing that as people got bored and weren't comfortable with nothing to do, more and more people were forced to take action and actually kept administering themselves electric shocks just for something to do, to have some action.
For some stimulus.
Yeah, that's the better word, yeah.
Wow.
Just for something, because there was nothing going on. And you can directly relate that now to people who are in isolation at home. You've got no external stimulus, you've got no relatives, no family going around.
Yeah.
If we take that experiment, which is what Will Stott does, and puts it in the real world, then people are going to start adopting negative behaviours, aren't they? Like using alcohol and drugs and all that kind of stuff. And maybe if they're with the families, they might take it out on their families and the husbands, partners, wives, kids.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that was an interesting experiment, and I thought, wow.
And it's funny, I was doing a course recently, and it was one thing that when we went into the classroom at the beginning, sort of said hello, and but everyone was quiet. It was like half a class, everyone was just sat in their chairs. And I looked up on the projector and it said, it was just instructions: come in, sit down, don't talk to anyone. Right? It was part at the beginning of the lesson. So I was like, oh, okay. So I just sat down, gave a little nod and a smile to the people that were in the room. You just had to sit there, which you've done the same. If you've tried meditation and mindfulness, actually, you're quite comfortable sitting and doing nothing. So eventually everybody comes in and clocks on quite quickly what we're doing. And I think it was probably 15 or 20 minutes that we had to kind of sit there until we got started. But it was quite obvious who the people were that weren't used to sitting and doing nothing.
Right.
Like just in their own space in their own head. They were needing that little distraction of the phone or whatever.
Did you see people like knees going or toes tapping and fidgeting and very restless?
Yeah. Whereas, some people were quite comfortable, get your feet grounded, get your hands on your lap, move your neck a little bit, close your eyes, bit of breathing, and just enjoy it. Yeah. So it's interesting you say that. In a flotation tank, you'd rather have a shock.
A shock just for some external stimulus.
Yeah. God.
But I mean, you can see it now when you're queuing up to get in supermarkets. People are queuing. Maybe people aren't used to queuing for that long just to go in the local co-op or whatever. And you can see like frustration by people. We had it at B&Q, went to B&Q, and it's a click and collect service at B&Q.
Yeah.
And the system they adopted, again, they were just doing the best with the resources that they had, but it was like 5 lanes, 4 members of staff, everybody queues up in the car behind the bollard, and everyone queues, and then it's your turn. When it's your turn, when the person goes in front of you, you pull up.
Yeah.
But the queues were quite big because they can only deal with a certain amount of people at a certain amount of time, and people were getting quite. There was like a tension in the air. Really? If the customer service member of staff went to somebody else, like not queue jumping, but they were just going to whoever they thought was next, and there was quite a lot of tension if someone like didn't get their turn next or whatever. Like,
wow.
And there was some people who were just sat there comfortable, just waiting. It is what it is. I've got nowhere else better to be. Do you know what I mean? I'll just sit here comfortably. And there was people getting frustrated, showing tension, and I don't know. Again, just adopt a bit of a maybe it's some good that'll come out of this COVID experience that people need to adopt more practices like meditation and mindfulness and all that.
Yeah, but it's becoming aware of it, isn't it? I mean, you're quite astute and you pay attention to these sorts of things, so you can you notice it. You're looking around and you're noticing it, whereas other people, maybe the ones that aren't happy, they're just in here. That's it. They're not noticing what's.
Yeah, they're telling themselves a different story, aren't they?
Yeah. That's it. Different reality, different
that cause and effects.
Yeah.
Something's affected their reality, so they're not comfortable viewing, and they're not patient enough to just accept the situation for what it is.
Yeah.
And control what they can control and get on with it. And
that's it. No, that's funny. That's interesting you say that.
But I'm glad you're enjoying the book, mate. Is everything else on hold then, is it? Why you read that?
All the other books? Yeah, I've got about 4 on the go at the moment, so I've put them aside. I'm just gonna get that one done. Yeah, because I put a bit of time in.
I think what I'd like to do is in future, a book that is like really sort of has really struck a chord with me. Have a book review. So instead of just having a conversation like we are just on general topics and stuff, review a book where maybe like a little bit like Jocko Willink does, with his format.
Yeah.
Where I'll pick out a few passages in the book that really like stuck out to me, and if you do finish reading the book, like you do the same, and we'll go through the book, we'll review it, we'll pick out a few things that sort of relate to us and why, and we can just have a conversation about why and the what ifs and stuff like that. Like, I think that'll be quite interesting.
Interesting idea. There's it's interesting you say that. There's a guy I listen to called Zestology podcast. I might have mentioned to him before. He's recently done a similar thing, but I think it's all done through Facebook. But first, he did a survey to see which type of books the listeners would want to review. So you had the choice of fiction or non-fiction.
Right.
I mean, and his podcast is all about health and vitality and wellness and energy. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And it's quite a recent thing, but they've gone for fiction.
All right.
Non-fiction, yeah. So I mean, I don't read a lot of fiction. Do you?
Not really. What was the last fiction book I read? What's it called? Oh God, it's like it was like a Jason Bourne type
Okay.
Quite. Oh, it's going to do me head in that now, but yeah, a bit like a Jason Bourne type. I Am. Oh, it's going to do my head in.
Oh no.
Oh, I can't think of it now off the top of my head, but a bit like a Jason Bourne, but it was actually quite good. But I've not read a fiction novel for a while now. Like,
no, it's very rare. I have got one that's kind of on the back burner that again was mentioned in the podcast, but it's been sat there. It's not something I would normally.
I get quite bored.
Yeah,
reading them because I don't. I mean, this is only my personal opinion. Obviously, Laura reads loads. That's all Laura reads is fiction. She goes mad at me for all like the kind of self-help and psychology books that I read, and that she was like, "Well, you just read a storybook." Do you know what I mean? Read something like escapism that takes yourself into another world or whatever. Like, do you not get bored? And I'm like, nah, if I don't feel like I'm learning something, I've not got any real interest in the book. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're spending all your time trying to figure out this world rather than delving into other ones. Yeah.
I was reading that Science of Storytelling. I put the book down. And I'd be just like trying to think of what I'd just read, try and process it. And Laura would be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "No, I've just read something that I can't get my head around, so I'm just trying to like process it in my mind." And she's like, "Oh, wait, that's weird."
Then you have to go back and reread it and go, "Oh yeah. Makes sense now."
I know. Yeah. That book I was on about, I Am Pilgrim.
I Am Pilgrim, right.
I Am Pilgrim, and it was actually really good. It was about the perfect murder, and someone gets away with the perfect murder.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they did. They got away. Spoiler alert, they got away with it.
I don't want to spoil it for you, but yeah, good book. Yeah. It was actually like when people say like it's a page turner and that, it was actually like it lived up to the superlative of unputdownable.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was good.
So what's your plans for the next week then, and this as well now? Have you got sort of ideas as to who you're going to have on, or?
There's a few ideas, yeah. I don't want to name names.
No.
Just in case they are watching and they think, well, I never agreed to come on there. Like, I've asked a few people to come on that, like, so we should have a few different, varied people to talk to on here.
Yeah,
and I've had a few ideas with it. Like the book review is definitely something I'm interested in doing, whether or not that's with another person or me doing it solo.
Yeah,
it'd be a bit weird recording myself do it. Do you know what I mean, on like video or whatever? Because I'd have no one to like interact with and bounce off. So maybe if I do it on my own, it's just going to be an audio-based thing.
Yeah. When you read the passages, are you going to do your best Jocko voice?
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to have a go then, but I'm not going to have a go doing the Jocko voice. Yeah, and there's a few things that I've written not long after we left the police, around like when I started reading like Stoicism early on, and they were almost like blogs that I've written.
Oh, okay.
I thought about maybe reading them as a bit of a monologue and talking about them a little bit more and explaining like my mindset at that time and what I was going through, and not like what I was going through in detail, but what the reason, like what I learned from them and stuff like that. Like, so
is that interesting to look back on now and read through?
It is actually, yeah. I didn't read them through fully, but I had a look at them the other day, and some of like the lessons that I said I'd learned from, or some of the coping strategies I was using, from leaving the police and then moving back up to St Helens, and that loss of identity and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I thought, wow, that's quite like powerful stuff, really. And at the time, it's the first time I'd ever really like sat down and written anything down, like blog wise, or it was interesting. So I don't know whether they're a bit too introspective to maybe put out there in public or not. I don't know. I'll have a think about that. But definitely the book reviews and more interviews, and it'll be nice once we get out of lockdown.
Yeah,
I want to do interviews in person. I want to like set up a camera in my kitchen and that at our breakfast table, and have like a bit of face-to-face podcasts and stuff like that. So
yeah, nice. Sounds good. Exciting. It's exciting. I'm excited for you.
Yeah. No, like I said, there's no real end game to it. Just enjoying the process and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, that's cool.
But no, in terms of the rest of the week, I've not really got anything planned. My sort of routine is once I'm awake, something to eat, coffee, read a bit of my book. Once Laura starts conference calls and stuff like that, I'll I'll make myself scarce. I'll go in the gym.
Yeah.
Or do some content for the jiu-jitsu online stuff. Send some emails and just keep myself busy that way. Really, I watch a bit of jiu-jitsu technique.
Yeah.
Listen to some Rogan maybe. That's about it.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
And now you're doing this as well. This is going to take some time, isn't it? Especially if you're figuring out your video editing and
I need to figure out. So last night I figured out how to add end tags or end credits onto the video, so it comes up saying subscribe and click onto the next video.
Yeah.
So I figured out how to do that, but I need to figure out how to put like tags to like the Instagram page and that, people can just click it straight to Instagram. But
yeah,
again, just a learning process. There's probably just a YouTube tutorial that I can watch on it, and it's as easy as that.
I know. There, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure.
I know.
Yeah, it's not like there's not many podcasters out there that haven't done it, so that there's lots of people to on it there. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Again, that was another argument that people, not argument, but that was another point that people were saying, that there's so many out there. What's the point in you doing one? That if like, do you know what I mean? There's like loads of people have got podcasts out there. Why are you doing one? Why are people going to listen to you? And it's not about like, if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. It's just,
why not do one? Why not do one?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, maybe like Joe Rogan at the time of starting his, and London Real, maybe Brian Rose when he started London Real thought, well, who's going to listen to me when you've got Rogan and Tim Ferriss out there doing this? And now look what he's gone on to achieve and build. So
huge, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like a full media company he's created, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, it's good.
Inspiring, yeah. So what about you? You're just back in work all week now, aren't you?
Back in work. Got what we got this week? Got an online yoga session tomorrow.
All right, nice.
There's the foundation training. They're sort of running the odd sessions, but because of the time difference between here and America, it's just hoping that I'm home in time from work to kind of.
All right, yeah.
Do that. Friday nights have been awesome because there's a page on Instagram and they run something called the London Surf Film Festival each year in October. Right. So they'll screen a series of movies, surf movies or
cool.
related movies. But what they've been doing during the lockdown, they've got another page now called the Lockdown Surf Film Festival, and each Friday night they're releasing just for 24 hours a screening of one of the movies that they've shown sort of in the past few years. So the last 4 weeks now, that's been my evening, settle down, get the laptop set up and watch one of their films. Yeah, it's just so cool. Something a bit different. Put your feet up, just relax and enjoy it. So
I remember watching what's the big wave surfer guy's name? You know what I mean, don't you?
Shane Dorian.
Shane Dorian, and there's an older guy.
Laird Hamilton.
That's it, Laird Hamilton.
Yeah.
Watching some of his clips on YouTube of some of the waves he was surfing and that. Oh my God.
I know, it's just scary to watch. Yeah.
I know it mentions him a little bit in that Fear book, what you've been reading, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Talk about being able to handle the fear of that, because I mean, you know better than me, that must be instant death. If you wipe out on them waves, that's it, innit? You're gone.
Well, it does happen. It does happen. I mean, not that I'm going anywhere near waves like that. The closest I'm getting is from watching it on my telly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does happen. But yeah, I don't know how often it happens, but it must happen because, those giant waves, they're breaking in really shallow water on these super sharp coral reef. If you land incorrectly or just wrongly and you're cracking your head on there, it's not a good outcome, is it? So yeah. But again, like you say, he's talking about how they're all fearful, they're all scared, but it's just how they
overcome it.
How they overcome it and deal with it. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I remember a quote from Custer Martin, Mike Tyson's trainer, Mike Tyson's old school boxing trainer. You're reading Mike Tyson's autobiography. Custer Martin had a quote that fear is like fire. It can cook your food, but it can also burn your house down. All about like handling how you handle your fear. It can work both ways. It can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. It can cook your food, but it can also burn your house down. That's quite good little quote.
That's quite nice. I haven't heard that one before. I like that. That's good. Yeah.
Old school customata, yeah. I know. Sorted, mate. I appreciate you. I know you've not long since finished work. But you're speaking to me for an hour now and your evening and that. But let's talk again once you've read a bit more of that book, and we'll do that review. We'll do that book review.
If you want, yeah, be happy to. Thanks for spending the time and thinking it worthy that we're going to record it and putting it out for other people to listen to.
Yeah.
I
just think it's I mean, I don't know why. Maybe books come around at the right time for the right people. I don't know. Maybe there's something like subconscious about it that you get drawn to a book or something for whatever reason. But I think a lot of people should read that book just to find out maybe their own stories that they're telling themselves on a daily basis. Maybe they're stuck in a rut. Yeah. Maybe they're in a negative of a volatile relationship, and whatever reason they're telling themselves these stories, and they're in this reality that they think there's no way out of. But you can change your reality. You can change your story that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Just think that book's like a powerful, even though it's about writing stories, and at the end he breaks down The Godfather into 5 acts and explains what all the acts are, which is really interesting.
Cool.
But I think everyone should read that book. So I think we're offering a service there for us to review it.
Interesting. Yeah. I better read it and pay attention.
Yeah.
Read it and make sure. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
Get loads of highlighters on it.
Yeah. I will. That's a project. Good.
Nice, mate.
Good to see you, mate.
All right, mate. You too, as always. Yeah.
Glad you're all well. Yeah. Stay in touch.
All right, mate. Cheers, Paul.
All the best.
Thanks, mate. Take care.
See you, buddy.